Hmm.
and at a big box gym, and then they didn't like how it was run, and they're like, well, I want to do something better, right? It's like, however, they decided to build a gym to service more people, help more people, with the identity of being a trainer.
Hmm.
So they end up putting themselves in a position in which they're a trainer that owns a gym, not a business owner that owns a
Right.
gym.
Right.
So by default, like, you're operating as a technician and you're not thinking as, okay, well, the moment I decide to open up a gym is the moment I actually decide to relinquish my responsibilities as a technician. And that's a decision that is made. Most gym owners don't think like that.
No. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So today we're going to talk business, right? My favorite asset class, as you know, is business. So and uh and guys, what I want you to do. So I have Mr. George Liu on the phone with us today. He is a gym profit specialist, right? So he works with gym owners. I'm gonna let him tell him about himself, but the key word is profit. Okay, specialist. So if you're in business, I want you to perk up because what we want to do is I'm gonna give you a little background, and then I want to kind of tell his story. So there, from a gym perspective, and so what you have to do is find your niche. There's over 20,000 gyms in the US. Over 80% of them are barely breaking even. And as an immigrant who felt alone as an outsider, George looked to fitness to help build his confidence. Following his passion, key point, he walked away from a multi six-figure career path at $1 billion company to start a full-time fitness-based agency, marketing agency, right? During COVID, all right, and went from zero to $100,000 a month in less than 2 years. Okay, need I say more? And so he's some of the things he's done with his framework. He's helped gym owners, and I'll see you'll be able to bring some of these in, rebound from bankruptcy to generating $15,000 a week. Think about that. Okay, generate multiple six figures a year working an hour a day. Okay, easily add 10K a month of additional revenue. And there are strategies where he's helped them triple their revenue in 3 weeks. So let's talk about that. All right, George, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be
Yeah,
here.
my pleasure. So tell him what I didn't tell him. I said a lot, but tell him I'm sure stuff I left out. Tell him what I didn't tell him, and then let's just kind of get into this a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, brother. In what regards, in like my story, in terms of how we help gyms.
Yeah, your story, a little bit of your story. Yeah,
So, long or short version? I'll probably do short version just because.
short version. Then we'll get
Uh,
to tactical. Yeah, we'll get some tactical stuff.
yeah, so the short version is, so I'm an immigrant, right? So I was born in Japan and raised in China. My childhood was split between the two countries, and I moved to the U.S. when I turned about 10 years old.
Hmm.
And growing up was really difficult just because I had to learn the language, learn the culture, learn how to get plugged in, right? It's like, something for, especially during those formative years, the things that you usually want is just to be accepted by your peers, right? To really fit in, right? So that was something that always felt like I wasn't able to have, and it was really difficult for me, especially because when I was in China, I had a really solid group of friends, and I was always like the leader of the pack kind of kid, right? It's like, it
Hmm.
was,
Hmm.
let's get. So once I got to the US, I all of it kind of just like shifted away from me.
Hmm.
And I moved around a lot. Even when I got to the US, like three different elementary schools, two different middle schools, two different high schools. So it was challenging for sure, to say the least, right? So and all of that culminated to until I turned 18, where I had a really hard moment with myself. And I was like, dude, I just don't like you. Like, just flat out, like, I just don't like you.
Hmm.
And it was just that form of like self-dissatisfaction that built up over time, that ended up to getting to that point, where I just drew a line in the sand. I was like, enough is enough. So that was when I dove into fitness because I wanted to change the first thing I didn't like about myself.
Hmm.
From that point onwards, everything shifted. Because I went from someone who was extremely apathetic about everything. I never applied myself
Hmm.
at all in everything. I didn't care about a lot of things at all, right?
Hmm.
Impact, money, and you name it, I just didn't care about it. To someone who really started having a care for life in general, right? It's again, it seeped over into every area of my life.
Hmm.
Fitness. Then it started with a mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationally, right? It's like, and especially once I got to school, like academically, I went from a C student to a straight A student, and then my whole life turned around very quickly in 4 months.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until and it even directed like my interest, my passion, right? Because during the time of college, typically people are like, "What the hell do I do with my life?" And I
Hmm.
same thing. So, but for me, I was like, "Well, let's look towards fitness because I care about that." Right. So, I ended up building out my own major. It was called health marketing and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Little did I know I would be doing exactly just that.
Hmm.
But I think it's one of those things where maybe a little bit woo woo, but like when you set attention to something and intention to something, you can it draws to you eventually, right? It's like so after I graduated, I had this incredible job lined up at LinkedIn in sales, and it was a program that's harder to get in than like Harvard. So I was extremely grateful as an immigrant to have even gotten that. However, I had 4 months to kill, so I was like, well, let's start something. Right. So I was looking towards different options, the historical different paths like drop shipping, e-commerce, Amazon fulfillment, anything that
Right.
was low cost, that just required a lot of hard work because I was like, okay, well, at
Right.
least I don't know anything about anything, but at least I know how to work hard. Hence, jumped into a program, dropped $6,000 to learn the skill set of Facebook advertising for local business owners. And I was like,
Hmm. Hmm.
because if I can help gyms, I can help more Georges at the age of 18. So, so that was how I got my start back in 2018.
Okay, I love that. So one of the things I want to pull out, one of the things, George, we teach our clients is that your number one asset is you, right? And you have to invest in your mindset, your skill set, so right, and your network. Who do you know and who knows you? And so what you'll see, guys, you'll see patterns of success. That's why I wanted to have him on here. I want you to see that. One of the things I was talking to, I don't know if it was on a podcast or I was training, and Russell Brunson wrote in one of the newsletters that Napoleon Hill says 95% of the people in the world are drifting, right? They don't have a chief definite aim, and then if they have and so you found out your thing, and then you had boom, and everything else kind of. I did the same thing in college because I didn't, I wasn't really interested in nothing. Then I was interested. I wanted to be in business, but all of the stuff till I got to my major, I thought was a waste of time. And then once I got into my thing and I got into kind of the business I was in now I was like a monomaniac on a mission. I wanted to be the best. And I met people that were making $50,000 a month, and you couldn't tell me nothing. Don't tell me about a $40,000 job. Where you know what I mean. And only thing is, I wish I'd have discovered marketing earlier because that's the marketing is the keys to the king. So Facebook ad, what like so tell me about your journey of now you're liking fitness, but then you took the Facebook course, and then as you went down that marketing rabbit hole, tell me a little bit about your journey with that, and then, and how maybe some listeners can apply some of that to what they're doing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Um, so I mean, the reason why I gravitated towards marketing was just because I think I was just trying to look at a key framework that I live by is the concept of ikigai, which is a reason for being in
Okay.
Japanese.
Okay.
Essentially, if you're able to find a combination of the thing that you like to do,
Mm-hmm.
the good at, the thing that can make you money, and the thing
Mm-hmm.
that the world needs, then you found a reason for being, right? Like, and that's kind of like a intersection of all four. So I abide by that, and I agree with that. And my belief is that the thing that you like, there are different ways to follow your passion, right? It's like, and the things that you like typically are your passions. However, there's also a difference between things you like and things you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and ultimately, my belief is that once you find what is it that you like, when you repeat it enough times through repetition, you get good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And good enough, you can also get paid for it, right? It's like, and
Hmm.
ultimately, in terms of your view of whether you believe the world needs this, like that's you, right? It's like you decide that, right? It's like, and so for me, when I dove into marketing, candidly, like originally when I graduated, man, I was like, I don't really have anything tangible to give to the marketplace.
Right.
I don't know. Like
Right.
I'm a kid that's graduated from college. Like, yes, I had like some achievements that I was extremely proud of. Like we were able to raise like 200,000 for a children's hospital. That's my how I spent my
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. But like I didn't have anything tangible to give to the marketplace. So uh, the reason as to why I stumbled into marketing was because my brother was at the time working at Facebook, and he was handling extremely fast growing SMB accounts and like 90 mil or 120 mil a quarter in spend. And I was able to see how fast Facebook was growing. And I had another buddy of mine who has won two the eight figure comic club award who dove into YouTube advertising, right? It's
Hmm.
like I understand the power of advertising in terms of it working, right? It's like some people are like, oh, it doesn't work, right? It's like, but it's so for me, like I asked myself the question, well, if I want to help gym owners, what do I want to do? And if I was to build a business, like the helpful question to ask yourself is like, oh well, how do I build a business and how do I make money, right? So, and if you ask yourself the question, how do I make money, um, and your goal is to help other businesses, then the next question you got to ask yourself is like, okay, well, how do I like if I were to help a business make let's say $10 million, would I be able to make $1 million? Right. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
so,
That's a good thought process. That's right.
so that was my mindset. So I was like, okay,
Yes.
so then how do I make someone $2 million? I was like, I don't know. So that's why I jumped into marketing and I
Right.
just figure out that process. Then that was how I began.
But the key is to ask that question. How do I do that? Because now you set your subconscious on a quest to find the answer to the problem. And now you start looking at different stuff and it's like, oh, because the answers are there. Somebody's doing it.
100%.
And
Always.
that's yeah, somebody's doing it. So, success leaves clues. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If somebody's out there doing, even if it's in a different industry, they're doing something similar that if you're paying attention, if you're willing to do a little work, you can say, okay, well, this is working over here. But all businesses, guys, if you don't know what to do, if you will study marketing, there's not a business owner out there that doesn't need more customers for their thing,
Yes.
right? You just gotta, and then so it goes back to all right, well, you like fitness owners, fitness entrepreneurs, I would say, right? And then, but most people in business owners, they really suck at marketing, right?
Yes.
And so that's a problem, right? The entrepreneur solves problems for a profit, okay? And that's the thing. That's what you've done. That is so. Let's talk about the industry, and then I'll try to pull some stuff out that's applicable to people in that business. I don't know how many business gym owners I've listened, but I have a lot of business owners that listen. And business is business, guys. That's what I want you to get. So the question is, how can I make this work for me? So just as a marketer, what are maybe some of the things that you well, let me go back to this because one of the things you did that I think was really cool was that you started helping struggling gym owners at no charge until they became profitable. What was the rationale behind that as you were getting started during the pandemic?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, for me, it came from two different places, right? It's like, um, a piece of it was insecurity, right? Just because like when I
Mm-hmm.
was, it was like I didn't have reps. Who am I to? For me, it was just like I don't know how this works, and I'm super candid about that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning for the first time. Like my intention is always there to help,
Right.
always.
Right.
However, because I haven't put in the reps, like I just let's see where it goes, you know. So
Right.
like, and that was one of the pieces of it. However, the other piece of it was just truly coming from the intention of wanting to help, right? And for me, in the earlier days, I just didn't know anything about anything. Like once I
Mm-hmm.
jumped into that rabbit hole, I mean, if anyone has stumbled into like the community of like the underground entrepreneurs of online on
Mm-hmm.
marketing and so on and so forth, like with ClickFunnels and so on and so forth, it may feel like you're stumbling into a rabbit hole, like in like Alice in Wonderland. Next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're
Yeah.
just like, oh wow, there's a whole world out here, which is like I didn't even know what I didn't know. Like this is crazy stuff.
Right.
And in my earlier days, I didn't know a whole lot. So the very first client I had ever taken on was just in my warm network, where I have a friend of mine who owns an impersonal personal training studio. So I reached
Mm-hmm.
out to him. I was like, "Hey, dude, like I'm learning about this thing." And at the time when I built it, I had a buddy of mine that jumped in. Ultimately, didn't end up working out just because of how much each of us cared to put in terms of
Mm-hmm.
time and energy. However, at least during the time, we reached out to a buddy of ours that owns a in-person personal training studio in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, and we were like, "Yo, we're learning about this thing that's crazy. Like, I want to test it out." And I was like, "Dude, like, listen, like, I'll put my own money into this and just like, let's see what happens, right?" It's like, so I spent $500 of my own money, and even though I didn't have money back then, and we were able to generate enough leads and get something set up to the extent that he was able to have one person sign up for personal training.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that worked out. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. Like that worked out. Like if anything, like at least we were able to yield something.
Right.
Some
Right.
500 ad spend turns into a $3,000 client for personal training. Like that's something. And then from there, it's like it's kind of like one of those things where the more repetition you put in, the better you get, the more competent you get, the more confidence you get, right? It's a competent confidence loop, right? It's like, so
Yep.
next, like what that allowed me to do is like I started cold calling gyms and just started looking at gyms that I wanted to serve. And very quickly, and even though I was absolutely garbage at cold calling at the time,
Right.
uh, very quickly I learned though the general perception of what it was like to work with marketers in general for gyms was extremely negative.
Mm.
Right? It's like, and a lot of people view this as almost like a necessary evil, if you will. And just repeated horror stories of hearing, yeah, I spent X many dollars and I got nothing back. And I was like, I heard so many of those, and I was like, geez, like, how's this happening? Like, why is this happening?
Right.
Like
Right.
I took a stand. I was like, well, I vow and commit to never be one of those people, period.
Right.
I'm not going to feed into this. That's not what I got into this business for. I got into this business to help people. So like if and that's what I'm hearing. It's like that's not people helping people. That's not it. So for me, earlier on in my days, like it was really challenging because like I had to battle with this feeling of insecurity and lack of skill set and lack of repetitions and lack of knowledge base,
Mm-hmm.
consistent with my intention to want to help people. And there's a gap where there was
Mm-hmm.
certain I would even deliberately self-sabotage myself. And I remember telling my coach, the first coach that I had ever brought on, it was this couple, and I'm extremely grateful for them for having gotten me started onto this path. I was like, I don't know. I'm just like, I feel like I'm floundering because like I don't know what to do. Like on one hand, like I wanna get more clients, but on the other hand, like I don't know. Like I'm just the kind of person that like if what I was building was actually hurting people, I would rather just not build it at all. I would
Right.
literally put it down. So
Right.
like I don't know if I'm good enough to get to that point where it's like I know that I won't hurt people just
Right.
yet.
Right.
So and I still remember what he said to me. He's like, "Well, George, like that's I respect and kudos to you, man, because not everyone thinks like that, right? It's like, and just for that reason, you'll be able to build a strong fundamental and a base that's over the course of long haul. It'll serve you and the people that you come across for the better, so much better, right? It's like, and for me, I was like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
However, at the time, it just didn't make it any easier because earlier on, the first time you're trying anything new, you don't know anything at all,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think but I think the go into it with a service heart, right? And because one of the things that people don't, they're afraid to look bad, right? But I always tell people, I'm in the financial industry, and I will teach people, look, activity produces knowledge. Okay, knowledge does not produce activity, right? So you can study all you want. You got to go out there and take your reps, and when you're just with the repetitions, when you said it, the confidence competence loop, if you're competent, you'll be confident, right? And when you're confident, you'll make money, right? Because you've got proof of concept. And now you're all right, who else can I help?
Boom.
Right? Because now you're seeing, I see, because I was watching, I was on his website looking at, the people are excited,
Mhm.
and your ads are more excited than them for the success they're having, which is very cool. And I like that. So let's, I love the whole mental part of that, right? So what are, as talk specific to the industry. And then I was thinking, as you're saying it, you know what? I just remembered that I worked at like a health club in college. Like I was playing basketball down in Winston-Salem State. So it was like a break between the year, and I was thinking about staying there, and I got a job at a health club. But I was there for like 3 weeks, so it was nobody there. I'm working out every day. So I looked great, right? I didn't make any money. And it was like, go over to this mall and take some postcards. And
Yeah.
that was the I totally forgot about that. You just said that. That's what the extent of the market. They were us to go out there and drag people over to the gym. And then I came in one day and they were closed. The door was all boarded up and they went into bankruptcy. And so that's, you have to Dan Kenny says you have to be a marketer of the thing, not just a doer of the thing. And most people just, all right, God, I'm open. They have like a lemonade stand mentality. Okay, we're open, grand opening, but you're not bringing people in. And so what are some of the top, like with that in mind, what are some of maybe 2, 3 things that you see that they're doing wrong when you meet somebody initially? What's either mindset or their tactical things, that you jump in, it's like, all right, we got to fix this.
Mm.
It's not being a better trainer
Mm.
necessarily, right?
Well, building off of that, right? I think most gym owners they dive into the space with a service heart.
Mm-hmm.
Most gym owners have heart of gold, and I truly believe that, and that's why I love serving them. And to your point, like their common path is, I mean, they have multiple paths in terms of how they get to that point in which they start a gym. One of
Mm-hmm.
them is having been a trainer, and they're a trainer because they went through a transformation of their own,
Mm-hmm.
and at a big box gym, and then they didn't like how it was run, and they're like, well, I want to do something better, right? It's like, however, they decided to build a gym to service more people, help more people, with the identity of being a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up putting themselves in a position in which they're a trainer that owns a gym, not a business owner that owns a
Right.
gym.
Right.
So by default, like you're operating as a technician and you're not thinking as, okay, well, the moment I decide to open up a gym is the moment I actually decide to relinquish my responsibilities as a technician. And that's a decision that is made. Most gym owners don't think like that.
No, they own a job. And so he's referencing the E myth, right? The technician and manager and entrepreneur. And you're because basically what he says, what they had is an entrepreneurial seizure, right? And it's like, I don't like how this works. If this knucklehead can own a gym, I can own a gym because I'm a great trainer. But right, but the trainer, to being a good trainer is not running a good business. There's so many other moving parts.
Completely different.
Yeah, completely
Right.
different.
Yeah, because um by default, like once you dive into business, then if you have the mindset of a trainer and you're running a business, then you essentially take what you were making before and maybe you add a little more, but then the expenses, what goes
Yeah,
out, skyrockets. All of a
right,
sudden, you're like I'm not gonna swear, but like, you're screwing yourself.
right,
You're
right,
screwing, you
right.
know?
You
And
own a job with no time off, no all the responsibility, no time off, no nothing. Right.
all of a
And you
sudden
pay more taxes.
pay more taxes, and
Right.
you have more going on every month,
Yep.
and
Yep.
maybe the same. Because like if you're a trainer, then it's like cool, like you whatever you were making before, if you're a really good trainer, then you just do the same.
Right.
So all of a sudden you just screwed yourself.
Right.
It's
Because there's
like,
only so many hours in a day, right? It's only 168 hours in a week. So you got to rest. You need
yeah,
to work out so you can make sure you look like someone I should be paying to help me get in shape. The whole thing. It's funny as I'm saying this, I'm picturing that you just can't work all the time.
no.
And
And that's like one of the, I mean, the main challenge that most fitness entrepreneurs they experience, right? Because they don't make that transition in terms of mindset. So right from there, I mean, our mindset dictates just about everything, right? Because like how we think, how we feel, it determines the decisions we make. And the decision we make turns into actual actions, that turns into actual results, and us being able to tap into our potential, right? So
yeah.
if they don't change their way of thinking, it just nothing changes. So the reasons why, for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of like the reasons why they go out of business so fast, and it's like I think it's based on data. It's like second hardest business to run for a gym after restaurants. It's
Mm-hmm.
because restaurant owners also do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the reasons why they experience that such high failure is because they don't make that transition, and they don't ask themselves the questions. right? Because the question that you ask yourself, it leads to answers. So if you don't ask yourself questions, you don't get answers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's the number one thing, like from a mindset standpoint, where they fall off track from the get-go. And the people that actually, so what we call, the way I view things is there are kind of like four levels of being a gym owner, right? So there's level
Okay.
one,
Mm-hmm.
less than 10 grand a month, where you're kind of like a trainer that owns a gym, right? Level two, you have 10 to 20 grand a month, in which you're moving along, right? It's like you're slowly learning the things where it's like, okay, cool, like, well, it's going to be important for me to bring on at least one full-time staff, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
like right now they have like 3, 4 part-timers that are helping them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as in they're understanding the importance and also value of leverage. They might not know the term and they might not think like that. However, they understand the importance and value of leverage.
Right.
So that's step two. And the step three is, let's say, 30 to 50 grand a month, in which they're starting to understand the importance of building out a system that has even more leverage. Right. So again, and if they prioritize service and they care a shit tons, word of mouth will spread. And that signifies that them running a strong enough operation that's able to generate enough impact so that the market rewards them at 30 to 50 grand a month. So that's
Mm-hmm.
low. So, in which at that point, they probably will have anywhere between like 20 to 50% profit margins. Then level four
Mm-hmm.
is a month and beyond. And these are the kind of people that are out of, let's say, like 20 operators, you have one person that's a freaking savage. Like
Right.
a
Right. Right.
freaking savage, right? It's like, and they are just go-getters. They're winners. Like winners win. They have the mindset. It's like, I'm gonna figure it out no matter what. If it's the most important thing to me, come hell or high water, I will figure it out. I don't.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
And those are the people that have made a decision to go from, it's not a trainer that owns a gym, to go from not only a business owner that owns a gym, but the kind of person that decides I'm going all in on what
Right.
I period.
Right.
Right? It's like those are the people that just keep rising, keep learning, keep growing, keep being able to build their knowledge base and skill set and understand leverage to the extent that they're able to grow and give more to themselves and other people. So from a mindset stage, like that's how I view it. And most people never progress going from one, two, three, four. And because the reality is, even though people will say, I have 20 years of experience, I have 30 years of experience, a lot of people, what they do is they live 1 year of experience.
20 times. Right. Yes. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. So that's just like, that's not the same thing as 20, 30 years of experience. Whereas
Right.
you have other that, for example, compresses decades into one,
Right.
decades into, which is entirely different. So I guess riffing off of that, it's like that's the number, honestly, the number one challenge, because it's mindset. It's going from 0 to 7 figures. It's solely, I firmly believe this is solely in the mindset and the decision making of the operator, the owner and operator. Because if you're able
Mm-hmm.
to help yourself improve upon this, and what you mentioned before, as your number one asset,
Right.
then you can build a 7 figure business. It doesn't matter which industry you're in. Period.
It really doesn't matter. It's I see that because if I heard a mentor say if you won't be beat, you can't be beat, right? And you just gotta stay, you gotta do the right stuff. So and that's where you help them, but you have to, I heard Myron Golden say one time, all work works, right? And so it's either working or it's working on you, right?
Yes.
So you know what I mean? And so, but people don't stay. My dad used to say, listen, you got to stop changing stuff. You got to give your time, your efforts, time to compound. Because my
Yes.
dad was in business, my grandfather was in business. So when I got into financial services business that I'm in now, I started at 20 and I sucked, and even then I got better at a marketer, but I was still an S, a self-employed on the job. And then I discovered marketing, and then I realized, okay, because if you don't market, you could get a few people get busy, and then you stop marketing, right? And your income flattens out or goes back down if you lose a customer. And then you've got to, all right, I had to figure out for Curtis. I was like, all right, I have to figure this out. I'm not in the financial business. I'm in the marketing business. See, that's the switch right there. Once you get that, and now you start, all right, I got to be a marketer thing, not to do a thing. You need to be good at the thing, but then the leverage part. How and so and I love the progression that you talked about. I'm gonna re-record that. I'm gonna steal that. I just want you to know. So and but I think because I think that's applicable across the board, no matter what business you're in.
100%.
And uh so I'm assuming your process kind of gets the mind. See, nobody wants to talk about the mindset stuff because they want to get to tactical right stuff. But if you don't have that right, the tactics don't work, and then you're not strategic at all, right? And so what I teach people is principles drive strategy, what you do, and strategy drives tactics, how you implement. And I'm assuming your process kind of takes in your way, in your with your framework, kind of takes them through that process mentally. Then here's how you run a good business, and then here's how you pour gas on the fire so you can make more and keep more of what you make, which is important. You can't make 30, 50 grand a month and spend 53, right?
100%.
So that's good stuff. So tell them a little bit about, let's say they're in your industry or they think about that, because I know a few trainers that I know that I work with, and they're stuck. They're doing. I see that. 'Cause I'm thinking of three people right now, and they're going to people's house or meet me at the Y or whatever, and they're stuck there. Speak to, hey, I want to be in business and I want to start to scale. I like what George is talking about. What would you have them do first, second, and third?
For the three trainers that are stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, because going back to your original point, I echo what Russell says, where he says most people, they're just because I've been studying from these couple of guys that I recently invested in, Caleb Maddox and Ryan O'Donnell, extremely smart. Like, I mean, they're truly like savants, right? It's again, in the most accurate sense of the words. They're so young and they just have so much knowledge in their head. And I'm just being a student. And one of the things that is that most people, they are a plastic bag floundering in a hurricane with no sense of certainty in terms of where they're really going. That's it. Like they're just, just living through the day to day, right? It's like, and one of the things that I see is that most people, especially if they're stuck, there's a reason as to why they're stuck, and they don't see it and they don't question it. It's hard to question it because it's easier to keep doing the same things that get you stuck because it's mindless. You don't have to think about it.
Right.
So the quote goes, busyness is a form of laziness. So what I see is that when trainers, for example, work from 5 a.m. until 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. and they keep doing that thing and they keep doing that thing, they keep doing that thing, they keep doing that thing, and expecting different results. I mean, that's insanity. Right. So and for them, they don't take the step back because they rather be. I mean, it's not a shot to them. However, it's like it's just what it ends up being is that you're not putting attention towards thinking how you can get out of this current situation.
Right.
Because if you're just doing it with the status quo, it's like you have a job in which nothing's going to change. If nothing changes, right? So until you decide, oh shit, I didn't know what I was doing right now is a form of quote unquote laziness because I thought I was just hustling and grinding. But it's like, no, you got to put. It's kind of like the saying, you got to work on your business versus in it. Also,
right.
So doing thinking is you being able to work on the business, like and thinking especially to the tune of, all right, well, where are you right now? Where do you want to go? Truly, ask yourself the question because most people don't ask themselves that.
Right.
And they're afraid to. They fall into this pattern in which, because they've been experiencing the same thing over and over and over again, they grow accustomed to how things are, and they develop this form of learned helplessness. As though they can't change their existing situation. Like, oh, I can't change this. Who am I to build a 20 or 30 grand a month business?
Right.
Who am I to build $1 million business? Right. Like, then they fall into this mental trap of like, well, I can't do X, Y, Z. And
I can't charge this. Who am I to charge?
Exactly.
Right. Oh,
and more oftentimes, it's not a matter of can't, it's a matter of won't.
Right.
Aren't willing to switch their mindset. And because the saying goes like, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And by fighting for your limitations, there's always a payoff, right? So when you fight for your limitations and tell yourself you can't do X, Y, Z, oftentimes it's for the reason of you protecting yourself, for the reason of you protecting yourself, right? So because if you don't say, if you say like, well, I can't charge X, what it really is you allow yourself the permission to not think on how can I charge more, because that's harder.
Right.
It's a harder path.
Right.
You rather follow the path of least resistance. So that's what they're doing.
Because it's not charging. I had somebody tell me price is only a consideration in the absence of value. right? And so how can you charge more and be worth it, right? Because people will pay it. They're not as price elastic as you think they are. And but you're not worth it right now because you position yourself as a commodity,
Yes.
not as are you Walmart or are you Nordstrom's? You know what I mean? And you get to choose which you want to show up in in the marketplace. I
100%.
love talking marketing. We could do this all day.
Yeah. We're only scratching the surface, right? Because this is just like how we think about it, and how we think
Yeah,
about it is so important because it'll drive all the other pieces. Because to your point, it's like we can dive into the tactics, the granular in terms of how to run Facebook ads, the copy, the headline, the creative, the targeting, the decision making, the media buying that works, and the lead nurturing and how to get people through the door and the sales process, right? But all these terms that I'm throwing out,
yeah,
most gym owners, they don't know.
right,
You have to pause the recording of this podcast, or most business owners, they would have to rewind it and they'd be like, wait, what did he say? Because I was there. I did the
right,
same.
right,
Because like when I was first learning, I was like, what are all these terms? What does that mean? Right. But it's not, but we don't get there because we don't ask ourselves the questions of how to get there.
right.
So like we have to start there because you can learn the knowledge of what to do and have someone tell you. However, then at some point, it's like, will you do the thing or will you not do the thing? And for the most part, people won't do the thing, even if you lay out the best things for them to do right there and
Mm-hmm.
then.
Mm-hmm.
So
They think it's so complicated. Like in any business, it's lead generation, lead conversion, lead fulfillment, right? So look at it, right? But are you, because what happens is most people that are, when this is where the distrust comes from, I think, because it, with all business owners, because they think, uh, should I be on Twitter? Like they're all asking tactical stuff. Should I be on this and that? I said, well, where's your customer? Start, right? And then most people that are marketing to them are selling them media. They're not really, you know what I mean? They're not really no results. It's like just buy this and I want it, I like direct response. I want to put $1 out there. I need my money back. I'm not
100%.
I'm not trying to brand. I'm not, you're gonna see me my company's called Practical Wealth. That would be a practical wealth blimp over top the Super Bowl. That doesn't, or good, right? Goodyear. I never understand. You got a Goodyear blimp, and is that going to make me run to the store to get a new set of tires? I mean, I don't even understand that. And a lot of people, they try to emulate that type of stuff, and they just waste money. You don't have the kind of money to do that kind of stuff because that's all they see, and that doesn't work. That's going to put you out of business quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay,
Yeah. Because
that's
like
good stuff. Mm,
I mean, because like what for people that try to model after branding,
yeah,
they're really doing, and what they don't see beneath the iceberg is that they're trying to model after hundreds of millions of dollar companies and billion-dollar companies.
yeah.
Like people that get on Super Bowls, like how could you model after that? It's kind of like a baby that's just hasn't learned how to walk yet, trying to model after Michael Jordan. It's like cool, like well, the first things first, like dunk from the free throw line. It's like
Mm-hmm.
what?
Right, right. No,
Wait. Steps.
right. Can you make a layup? Right,
Right. It's like let's crawl first, then let's walk, then
right,
let's
right.
so on and so forth. Right. It's like sometimes it takes time. It'll take as long or as short of times it takes. Right. It's like and to your point, like I firmly believe that most business owners they aren't able to switch that mindset because one of the things you mentioned that when you switched over from being for example the mindset of like oh well I'm the finance industry and it's like oh I'm in the marketing industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most people don't think about, you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
just with and also for me like the shift I had this very similar shift where it's like I realized that I think for some reason it hit the first time I read I think the book Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone in my earlier days.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that. I haven't read that yet. Okay, I'll look it up.
When I read that, it was like he was like, "What business are you in? What business are you in? What business are you in?" Blah 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 blah. And ultimately, it just landed. You're in the people business.
Yes.
That you're in the people business. No matter what business you're in the people business. The world's run by people. Businesses exist to serve people, right? So then that was how where I started. It's like so if you're in the people business, it's going to be important for you to understand people. And for me, like marketing is not about pushing a promotion or product or a gimmick. It's like it's about understanding people
Right.
deeply in terms of who are people, who do people want to become, and
Right.
how do we help them get from who they are to who they want to be. That's how I think of marketing.
Yeah, I was just looking. I was reading Expert Secrets this morning. I was like, okay, what are my people doing now? Right. The current, And then what's the result they want? There's a book by Dane Maxwell, Start from Zero. Every business is three things: a customer, a mechanism, and a result. And so people want the result. They don't necessarily know. So if you're in the gym business, what do I want? I was listening to Dan Kenny tape and said, listen, so if you're telling about just health, not health, yeah, being healthy and losing weight, he said that's not why people buy like weight loss. He said Weight Watchers almost went this is doing that. They're like revenge against the ex-husband, getting it's summertime, I need to get into, I used to call it my Baywatch shape, you know, and or to what's the other one he said the reunions are coming up and I need to, or the weddings come up, I need to fit into this dress. I mean, people are like, they got all their own reasons for whatever, and so you need to figure out what they are, and then you can now craft marketing to each of those, to that person, right, to for that want to get in shape for their own reasons. And I think is that kind of what you're helping them do, is why you're getting people such fantastic results.
100%, because it starts there. It starts with the psychology, right? It's like of
Mm-hmm.
who. So like, and how like to get granular in terms of exactly how that ties into, for example, like our process. Like I write all for copy, right? It's like, so when I write copy, it's like I don't talk about like the hey, come in for a free class, right? It's like we've always used long form copy that's like 1,800 to like 2,200 characters, right? And which like
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and we nail it down to a science in terms of exactly what that looks like. For example, like what type of creatives convert better, whether it's images or videos, and what kind of images. Right? It's like we've landed on like images, and then how I understand it is like for direct response marketing, after enough repetitions, is that the point of the offer, first of all, very important, and then
Mm-hmm.
the creatives, the point of the creative in the good old days, like the reasons why the headline and you want to put most of your attention towards writing the headline is because people are reading print ads, but nowadays, like it's the what is now headlines are just creatives. It's like what's eye catching, what's scroll stopping, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the creative is incredibly important. And once you start there, then you can also include a headline, which people may or may not read. And then people start from the top and they click learn more, right? So like, and then from there, ideally the words that you have on the ad is to get a person to feel a sense of internal emotional pressure for them to feel a gap between where they are and where they want to be. And for them to just get over the hump of being able to click, learn more, and fill out their information because they realize right there and then it's worth it. It could be the right thing. It could be the right time. So,
Mm-hmm.
so those are all important aspects, right? It's like, however, without starting from psychology, it's like it's really challenging to get there because ultimately you're going to be shouting from the rooftop of how good you are, which no one cares about.
Right. Nobody cares about you or how long you've been in, or you have a debt-free company or anything of that stuff. It's not about you. Right.
Exactly.
That's a big revelation.
It's not about you, yeah, and
Yeah, it's
that's
not
what I've
about you.
because like and frankly, it's kind of like human nature though, like to
Mm-hmm.
make it about ourselves, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
we like to talk about ourselves and we share a lot, right? It's like, however, the transition between from my lens, the businesses that fail versus the businesses that succeed and thrive is how, and this is diving into like my, I don't know, like my philosophy or in terms of how I view businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, maybe like dives into more so like the spiritual aspect of it because I
Mm-hmm.
see where it's like I think what businesses truly like the difference between businesses that fail versus the businesses that succeed and then thrive are the businesses that are truly able to care and make it much bigger about much bigger just in general, right? Because like the
Mm-hmm.
business oftentimes includes maybe an owner operator that's trying to like, how can I do this for myself? How can I get X? How can I get Y? How can I, which is selfish. And it's okay. We don't have to guilt ourselves or beat ourselves up around that, right? It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
just human nature because it's sort of step one, survival. How do we make sure that we're okay? And that's human nature. And I don't fault anyone for that, right? It's like, however, when we come from the lens of how do get what I want, it doesn't help. It's not that it's guilty or a sin, but it's just that it's not practical, it's not helpful.
Right.
Other people don't care about what you want. Other people care about also what they want.
Right.
So the shift from in terms of an owner from how do I get what I want to, well, how do I help other people get what they want? Boom, all of
Right.
a sudden, massive shift. And you start asking yourself different questions. Then you transition over to a business that becomes also service oriented, that ideally wants to strike win-win outcomes. Then you start
Right.
asking questions, and then all of a sudden, when you start asking yourself, well, how do I give my customers what they want?
Right.
And that fundamentally changes everything, going back to mindset, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and the businesses that succeed are the businesses that do that, that make it bigger than just about the owner and operator. And then eventually, what I believe, the businesses that truly thrive and truly make the biggest impact and differences are the ones that are able to expand the sphere of what they care about, going from oneself to oneself and customers to oneself, team, customers, and as wide as possible, right? So when you look at billion-dollar companies, the billion-dollar companies are billion-dollar companies because they have enough impact on wide enough of reach and depth enough of impact for them to be able to garner enough value for them to become billion-dollar companies, right? So like that's how I see the transition.
Hmm.
I actually see business as a beautiful way of yielding progress for just like humanity as a whole, like big picture.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the transition, right? It's like it's just like that's what it becomes, you know.
It's so funny. Like you should have been at the State of the Union speech because they totally don't see business that way. Okay. And because oh, we're going to tax profits. Profits are just showing you that you're doing a good job. Profits are your reward for creating value in the marketplace, right? So and so like a lot of the times we go back to the middle, some of y'all got to get out of your own way with your headspace with money and charging right and charging what you're worth and all those type of things because most of that's because I'm still working through some of that. I'm getting better. Okay. And but I got to work at it. You got to think about it every day. So that's cool. So George, I appreciate your time you spent with me. Tell me a little about the business, if uh who you help, how they can follow you, and what would be the next steps if they're here. And if they're in that business or they're thinking about getting in that business, how should they, follow you? Because you're dropping some serious gems on this
Yeah,
call today. I appreciate you.
appreciate the brother. Yeah. So we help gym owners traditionally, well, level one, two, three, four, what I alluded to earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How I so we break it down to two different buckets, right? If a gym owner is at level three or four, they already have a staff, especially, and they have that mindset of impact, reach as many people as possible. Love helping those people. Love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then also on the flip side, if you're level one or two, ideally, if you're doing at least 7 grand a month and above, and you at least have that mindset of wanting to make that transition, you're committed to that, and you've decided to go all in on what you believe in and your vision, your goals, your business, we can help as well. And if it's, however, only for those that aren't willing to point fingers outwardly and give their power away, right? It's like that's an important piece. So if you fall under one of those two buckets, feel free to shoot me a DM on George L 1022 on Instagram. I think that would probably be the easiest way to start. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay. I have I saw that, and then I have the site where you're showing the people that you're working with. I'll put that in the show notes also.
Sure.
George, my brother, thank you so much. This
Yeah,
is fun. This is
that was
fun.
a lot.
I
Time
love
to
talking to Brooke. So some of you, I don't know if it helped y'all, but it helped me. I got, I'm gonna go back. I got like a page of notes on this stuff. He just dropped some serious gems on there. That's translatable. I don't care what business that you're in. You have to listen better. Okay. I am so fired up right now. I don't even know what to do.
that was powerful. It listened better, right? Because like most people, if they're consuming a piece of content, if it's not directly relevant to them, they're like, yeah, it's not relevant to me. It's like
Right.
to the point. It's like it's not relevant to me. It's like, how is this relevant to me? How
As
can
well. And that's the work of a
oh,
of a boom. That's the work that you have to do. You can't say, well, my business is different. That's laziness. Okay. And so if you're all in, you're going to figure it out. Like you said a couple things like to me, I'm like, oh wait, I gotta listen to this again because I can apply this to me. See, I always see everything through that lens. How can I borrow this and what they call swipe and deploy? So I that's definitely my motto. So George, I appreciate you. Thank you again for joining us on the Practical Wealth Show. And guys, I'm going to put this probably in the intro. So listen, get your notepads out. Okay. And, hopefully you learned some stuff today. Reach out to him, follow him on IG, and share this. If you know somebody that's in that business and struggling, share this. Don't let them throw them a lifeline, and show them, look, there's people that are winning. And hey, you need to listen to this guy and follow what he's doing and reach out. That's what I
appreciate it.
want. Okay. Guys, go have a great day and make it a profitable day. Thanks again for listening to the Practical Wealth Show. Listen, like, and share.
Recording stopped.
Ooh, that was good.
That was a good one.
With no notes and I didn't talk. We found our rhythm of stuff because I love talking about marketing. It's like okay, and I thought you shared some really cool stuff there, just spiritually overall that I think transfers. I pretty appreciate because I appreciate. I wanted to talk about what you're doing, but I knew it would translate over just the work ethic. I love the 4 levels. That is awesome. And everybody goes through that. I take people if I recruit. I was thinking about that because I'm do I want to grow? Like even in my business, I'm like, all right, do I want to be a master surgeon with a nurse? Like I'm top the table in the insurance and the financial business. But do I want to build? I need leverage. Like I need to hire some people that if I go away, production is still going on. And but then I'm impatient because people don't work as hard as me.
That's true. Yeah.
And so but it's even
Well,
that, like new people got to go through the levels.
yeah. Well, actually, I was gonna say like because I just caught myself. I was like, yeah, it's true, but it's like now I'm questioning myself. Like, is that true? Because what if there are people that are willing to work as hard as you or harder than you? Because right, so like I just found
Right.
myself.
That's who I want, right? And now, and see, the challenge is you got to do disc testing because then they want to be used. They want to take your stuff and go start their own deal. So I guess you can't be insecure like that.
Yeah, and that's actually something I'm going through and learning about real time, right? Because
Mhm.
I've gone on two really deep, like two players that are really deep in terms of experience. They've gone
Mhm.
through college, they've owned their gym for 8, 10 years, and now we're in a position in which, especially one of the two, like they want as much equity as possible, right?
Mhm.
So it's like navigating through that because A players will want that,
Mhm.
and that will require like you sorting through just like whatever pops up here in terms of like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest struggling mind. It's like I'm like, how do I navigate this? But yeah, man, all part of the fun.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Listen, if you ever and I got this because I was talking to these guys at the Funnel Hacking Live. Like if you ever do like anything on finances with your group,
Yeah.
because I'm more because basically what happens is in typical financial advice, because if let's say I was with Edward Jones, I would be calling on them and trying to get them to do a SEP IRA and put money in mutual funds, but their best investment is in their like I would have them join your program before I'd have them put money into an IRA, right? Because you could if you put $1 in, you make $2, that's 100% return. And see, so a lot of times, you know what I mean? They don't because they're still in a world where financial planning is designed for employees and it's all one way. Send your money away. Whereas you want to you need storage so that you can reinvest back in your business and create velocity.
Oh,
And so that's kind of what I teach. So I've realized that because I speak at real estate talks. I interviewed this guy on why laundromats are the #1 small business in America. On my show, he had me come on his show, and then he did a laundromat millionaire conference. I ended up speaking to these laundromat owners. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm the financial advisor to business owners. And so now I'm picking at niches that I like. I've always been into fitness because I played basketball in college, and I was reading like Pump and Iron, like Arnold. We were into Arnold before he was a movie star. Like I was in ninth grade reading Pumping Iron and What You Eat and How to Do Sets. That's why I feel like I haven't had any major knee injuries. I've been lifting and stuff since I was like ninth grade, 10th grade, and stretching, lifting, and I haven't really, other than twisted ankles, had major injuries. And I swear, I think it's because of that. My best friend was a wrestler, so we were into all that kind of stuff. So I've always been, what do you eat, how you work out. I could be a trainer if I really wanted to, but financial services I don't know how to do what you did. I like money. But my
yeah.
3 favorite topics are money. My there's like a 3-way tie: money, marketing, and wellness. So like my 3 favorite
Hmm.
topics.
Hmm. That's
You
powerful.
know, yeah. So I try to do the wellness. I'll share with people that, and then or like I do insurance. So I see their health because I'm doing the insurance app, and it's like, you need these supplements. I want you to listen to this. I want you because I'm kind of like the financial. I'm a coach. I'm a life coach. I'm all this stuff rolled up into one, but I'm not charging. That's where I got to figure out. Okay, how do I charge for some of this stuff that I'm doing? I'm giving like serious gems just because it's like that's how my mind works. So we're just like we're doing now. I do that with people because whatever I had people where they'll she's like, oh, I want to do this thing, financially. And I was like, well, all right, I have an online business. She's a real estate agent. I said, well, you're not making any money.
Hmm.
I can't steer a parked car, right? So it's
Yeah.
like a thing, right? So I spent like I said, all right, we got the time schedule. So I spent like 30 minutes with her just going over, marketing. What I do, what I teach is before, during, and after is three parts of my business. My before unit, my during unit, my after. I say, all right, so your before unit is broke because you don't have any leads, you don't have any appointments, your thing is priced wrong. And then I'd say, look, let's visit in 3 months. And they said, oh, I do what you said. And all of a sudden now she's making money. I said, okay, now we can work. But I just happen to have that knowledge, and I just, I want to help people. So I want to serve. So it's like, all right, if I can help you, then I will help you. And
100%.
so I think you have to start with a service. Now I'm realizing, okay, I could charge for some of this stuff, but I'm actually going to take about half dozen people and take them through I'm going to do like a 4 week thing and see if I can get the results. And then you may see the Practical Wealth business optimization system out there soon.
Oh, I mean,
So listen, I gotta run. I thank you. Let's stay in touch. I'll check out what you're doing, but I really appreciate it. This is fun. And
yeah.
if I could be a service, or I'm trying to, if I think of somebody that who would you do you want to meet? Like, who's a good lead or show or for you? If I could, point you in a direction, what would be good for you?
Mm, I don't know. With these kind of things, I'm more so like very open-minded, also very serendipitous. I think things just like pop up, you know? So like
Okay. I
what
think you
we
got people out there promoting you. I was like, because I was, I don't, I know I can take everything and bring it back money. So I says, all right, this is fun, because I knew you were marketing. So I love talking about marketing. I said, all right, I'll get the nuggets out in general, and then I want you to talk about, because I always want you at the end of the day promote your thing and get you more people. But I try to, all right, what are the lessons I can extract out of that? So because I was like, all right, what am I going to do? But I think this is fun. So I think it went well. I think you can create a lot of value out there. So I'm excited. I'm thankful that we did this. Yes, sir. All right, brother. Listen, have a great year. Rest of your year. And for anything I can do to be a service, let me know. And I hope I'll talk to you soon. Talk to you again.
Yeah, better
All
brother.
right, sir. All right, you too. Take care.